Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another old school Runescape video. I have another question for you guys. Have you ever been scammed in Runescape? If the answer is no, you are lying and you are banned from this channel. Okay, but in all seriousness, I would find it a little bit difficult to believe that every single player hasn't fallen for at least one little scam or one little tricky way for players to take advantage of other people. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about today, as I was chatting the other day with a few friends and we were reminiscing about the times that we were scammed in Runescape. If you enjoyed this video, we have a lot of content like this on the channel, so a subscription with notifications on would be greatly appreciated, as well as a like on it to please the YouTube overlords. If you don't like the video, Mod Jed is going to come back to Jagex and steal all of your GP. And as a final reminder, you can also check out the link in the description to join our Discord and our nice growing community. So with that being said, I only have one disclaimer for you guys, and that is the fact that we are going to look at 10 iconic scams in RuneScape's history, and we are going to go from least to most iconic, even though all of these are most likely, going to be remembered by most people who watch this video. Obviously, I know there's a ton more scams that rely on items that look similar to others, but these are my personal favorite. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at how players took advantage of us young and naive players back in the day. We are going to start with a scam that completely takes advantage of people's trust, and it is of course the trust trade. What some people would do is that they would sit at the Grand Exchange, and even before the Grand Exchange was even a thing, they would go to Varrock Bank, Varrock Square, or even Falador, some of these popular places, and there would be people saying, trust trading, give me your valuables and then I will pay you whatever amount. So what people would do is that they would have like a little team, like kind of making as if they actually did the trade, and they would go like, oh nice, thank you so much. And then they would expect people to actually trade them, and maybe there could be a time where people actually gave that trade, I guess. Let's say you swap over a rune plate body and then they give it back and they give you whatever amount of money. But that would be the little hook. Once you see that it was actually a legit thing, you would be confident enough to give them even more valuables, and once you give them enough money, then that would be the end of your items. They would log out as well as their team, and that would be the end of it, and you would have to grind more to recover those items. The following scam is pretty similar to the previous one, and of course it is doubling money. Instead of people just asking for items or valuables, they would specifically ask for money. They would do like a little trust trade in whatever amount, and then they would give you back supposedly double of whatever you gave them. This, of course, also required a little coordinated team to make it seem like this was legit, and it was, of course, another one of the things that if someone trust traded or wanted to double money, they would give a small amount just to check that it was a legit thing, and then, the player who was coordinating the attack would give back whatever amount of money, and once they build up trust with people, then you would give them a large amount, and by large amount back then I mean like, 20k, 100k, 1 million, and then once they have your money, they would just completely yeet it, and you would also be well out of luck, and you learned a valuable lesson that day. So, doubling money, one of the most iconic ones in my personal opinion, but yeah, I guess people must have been really young for them to fall for this one. The following two scams require a little bit of a sleight of hand instead of just completely relying on people's trust. The first one we're gonna talk about is, I don't even know how this one is called, but it's basically a quick swap once you are in the trade screen. What this would be basically is that people would normally get noted items that look similar in order for them to trade the legit item that they were trying to trade, and then as soon as the trade was about to be accepted, you quickly swap the noted item for something that looks very similar. You would accept, and since people, would check it beforehand, then the second trade screen would be a little irrelevant. People would go like, oh yes, I have my new item. I am going to be very honest with you guys, very open. I actually did this one in free-to-play worlds at the Draenor village, where people would cut willows, and I would go to the bank with noted rune axes as well as iron axes, and I would trade people looking to buy a rune axe. I would put the noted rune axe in the trade screen, they would put the money, and right before the trade, I would right click X, remove rune axe, and then be ready to put the iron axe in the trade screen, and then that would do the little swap, and right before they accepted, then they wouldn't even notice, and boom, you have your nice little GP. I ran away with quite a bit of cash, but not as much, and then I kind of felt bad for it. The next one also requires fast typing and clicking, because it is a fact that some people went around buying valuable items that were above 100,000 GP, and as we all know, 100,000 looks like 100k, 1 million looks like 1000k, and so on, and whenever you bought expensive items such as trimmed armor or dragon items, instead of putting the actual 100,000, 1 million, people would be very quick to swap the K for a 4. It didn't really look very similar, but let's say that instead of 100,000 you would offer 10,000 plus 4 gold, and instead of those 100 and the K, that would look like, 1,000 plus one little extra character at the end, and since the gold stack doesn't change, that would actually give people the confidence that, hey, I am trading this for whatever amount, and then if people fell for this one, well, it's because the characters look a little similar. I personally never fell for this one, but this one was also a very quick one, and that was attempted on me many times when I was merching raw and cooked lobsters. But this one was also a very popular one that a lot of people took advantage of when we were kids. This next one is very relevant to this day, because it is the fact that the Duel Arena scams are still going on in old school RuneScape, and even in RuneScape 3 if I am, looking at information correctly around Reddit or YouTube, and we can't go a video about scamming without talking about the Duel Arena. There are so many scams in this place that I am not going to mention every single one, but there are things from whenever you have your duel ready, people are going to change the rules without you noticing. There are going to be people offering a ranged matchup, but they give you a maple shortbow with let's say rune or adamant arrows, something that actually cannot use the ammo. And whenever you go into the little fight that is supposed to be in your favor, then people are going to take advantage of it. Either, if you have melee, they have magic with blood barrage in order to heal. There are just so many scams in the Duel Arena that are still going on to this day that it would be difficult to mention every single one of them, but if you guys want to take a look, I will leave a link in the description to some of the most popular scams when it comes to the Duel Arena. And Jagex, I think it's time to talk about the Duel Arena. I think the game would be a much better place without this little sand casino, but anything regarding the Duel Arena scams comes in at this place. These 5 upcoming scams are some of my favorite ones, not only because they are super creative and iconic, but because I also took part in some of them and I also fell for them at one point in my RuneScape career. This next one I am talking about whenever people did a little coordinated attack, when there was one person saying, I am buying a very obscure and rare item, but rare in terms of it's not even used in the game. So for example, I remember specifically that this one was used with an empty box. There would be someone around the Grand Exchange or Varrock saying, buying empty box, 200,000 GP, 300k, 500k, you name the price. You would go like, why the hell are people buying this? But then you would go running around Varrock looking at what people are offering, and there would be someone saying, selling empty box 100,000 GP. And then people would go like, if there's a guy buying an empty box for 500k, but then there's another guy selling it for a 100k, aha, I am going to make a ton of money in a very short amount of time. I never actually fell for this one. I was about to, but then I looked at the item and I was like, this is actually completely useless. I think this is a scam. It sounds too good to be true. So what people expected was, okay, they go to the person selling the item for a very small amount of money compared to what the other person was buying it for, and then as soon as the person buys the item, they would both log out, and then you would never find the person buying the item. Like I said, this one was specifically used with an empty box, but there were still so many items that people could potentially fall for this because someone was buying it at an inflated price and there was someone selling it for a marginally less amount of money. This next one hits pretty close to home, and it's because I fell for it not once, not twice, but I think about 3 times, and I was pretty ashamed for it. I'm of course talking about gem cutting services, and not only gems but also any type of production with an item where people offer to do something for you either for free or for a small amount, and once you give them the money, poof, they would disappear. But the most iconic one was actually gem cutting services. What people would do is that they would offer gem cutting, and you guys remember that back then, especially in free-to-play, getting from 20 to, I believe, 47 crafting it is to craft the diamonds, or to cut the diamonds, that back then was actually very difficult, and if you had anything above 40 stats, you were actually considered a god. So I was like, I have some rubies, I have some diamonds, but I cannot cut them. There was someone offering the service either for free or for a very small amount of money. I would give them my gems, and then they would completely disappear. The first time it happened to me, it was the person was offering it for free, but then I saw that someone was offering it for 100 GP per gem, and I was like, oh, if they are charging, then it means they are being legit and they just want the experience, help you out, and then give you back the gems. No, that's not the case. When I traded all of my gems that I got from my drops, they would still log out, and it was a little case of fool me once, shame on me, or shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So yeah, this one fell for it, not really proud of it. If you guys played RuneScape, there are a few iconic names that pretty much every single RuneScape player is going to recognize, and there are some that people even recognize if they have never heard about RuneScape, like Zezima and many others. But I bet you guys also remember the name Jojo 3000. This was the king of wildly luring, I guess before and even after the wilderness ditch was implemented. This was a guy who would pray, or I guess would social engineer people to go to the wilderness. They would pick GP, and then of course we all have seen those videos of people getting over the ditch or walking into PvP areas in the wilderness, and of course they would be either entangled or ice barraged, and then they would be DDS spec'd, and they could do nothing but beg for mercy, and then they would drop their rare items on the floor. I guess Jojo 3000 amassed a huge amount of wealth doing this, and eventually he was banned from RuneScape for doing this for such a long amount of time. Is that even a word? But yeah, the wilderness lures, obviously one of the most iconic ones in RuneScape. But of course, we cannot talk about iconic RuneScape scams without mentioning free armor trimming services. A few days ago, I made a little poll asking you guys which one you think is the most iconic scam in RuneScape, and in less than 24 hours, it got 3,000 votes, and look at the results, look at how many people think the most iconic scam is armor trimming. I would agree with you, even people who've never played RuneScape even know about this, and it is of course one of the best scams in the game. For those of you who are brand new to RuneScape, especially if you started playing in old school RuneScape, you will notice that we have a lot of armor trims, both normal trimming and gold trim. And back then, you could only get them on adamant and rune armor. So, if you weren't free to play, because the gold trimmed armor and the normal trims were also available in free to play, what people would do is that they could only get these items from clue scrolls. Not a lot of people knew that, but they would actually say free armor trimming, and I guess you guys know the rest of the story. People who were naive enough and they would want that little nice gold trim in their armor, they would give out their full rune, and then obviously people would log out and completely leave you naked with nothing but your clothes. Obviously, I never fell for this one. I'm pretty proud for it because my little brain was like, okay, if this is so easy, maybe I can do it myself. I looked at the items at Rune HQ, and lo and behold, this was not able to be done by a player. You could only get these items from clue scrolls, and I was like, aha, I am never gonna fall for this one, and I'm pretty proud that I never gave my full rune armor to anyone claiming to do a free armor trimming. Last but definitely not least, I am going to tell you guys about a scam I think I pioneered because I stole it from another game that I was playing before old school RuneScape. It is of course the Simon Says game. I am not going to give you a full detailed explanation of this, but basically I would walk around saying Simon Says contest entry, let's say 20, 50k, and then I would get around 5 or 6 people following me, but one of those people was actually my friend. And then when I got everyone in a line, they would give me their entry and I would make, let's say 300k. And I would PM my friend the emotes that I would say before I actually set them in order for them to do it at a reasonable, maybe not suspicious timing, and I would tell them, okay, get this one wrong so it's not as obvious, and obviously, I would PM my friend which emote to do, and then at the very end he would come out on top, we would win, and then we would split the winnings. I think in one day I made like 1 million GP by doing this, and then I split with my friend, we each got 1 million GP, and back then this amount of money was unheard of. Not really proud of it, but I think it was one of the most, It gave people hope. You know, this is not, a scam. This is a nice little game with which, if I have nice reflexes, I could potentially make a lot of money. But of course, it was fixed and we walked away with tons of money. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this trip down memory lane as we looked at the most iconic scams in RuneScape and some that are still going on in old school RuneScape. I am not going to get into those, you guys. I think we are old enough to know that if something is too good to be true, it probably is. Thank you so much to all my channel members. We have Rune, Berserk, and also the Madmen, Josh and Iron Rice in the Infernal tier. Thank you guys so much for that. And if you guys would like to monetarily support this channel, it's not 100% for me. You are also going to get a ton of perks and benefits that I am going to be able to help you out even more for your monetary support for this channel. And if you guys made it this far, make sure to leave a comment saying doubling GP. If you are a subscriber and if you like this video, you will be entered in a raffle to win one bond, and I will announce and contact the winner 24 hours after this video was uploaded. So good luck with that, and thank you very much. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video of nice content that I have planned for you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day, have a great week, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.